Yeah, so I'm a little wasted right now. I rode up to Nyack today. You know, it's very hilly. I took River Road, which is a really heart place for me.
Well, tell me about that, because there isn't a road cyclist in New York City who hasn't done River Road.
For sure. Well, part of why I got into bike activism in the 80s was because we were being restricted and arrested for biking on River Road, except during the handful of hours every week that it was permitted.
What were the hours?
Only on weekend mornings, 6 in the morning till 12 noon.
Oh my God.
And now, the greatest place to ride a bike within 100 miles, hello? And, but that was part of the anti-bike culture and politics of the 1980s.
Let me ask you this. Was there any more car traffic on River Road back in those days?
No,
or it was
no.
still almost no cars,
Oh,
but they
yeah.
wouldn't let the bikes on?
Right. They felt like mixing bikes with cars would open them up to massive liability if there were bad crashes. So that was part of why but the real reason I got into bike activism is I was recruited.
By who?
And there's a lesson. By Carl Hultberg, who was
That's a name I've heard.
a lowercase green, not a Jill Stein green, a green of vegetarianism, feminism, hemp, bikes, recycling, cities as inherently green. And it's a long story of how he recruited me, but he did. And he sort of engineered a friendly takeover of transportation alternatives, where I got installed as the president, the volunteer president. And Carl was basically my consigliere, who taught me activism and organizing.
Well, I can't think of a more important project than opening up River Road to cyclists, because it's just this amazing park so close to New York City. Let me ask you this, though. Back then, I wasn't going across the GW. Was the GW open to bikes then?
No, and that too. Bikes were restricted to the North Path, which had 171 steps, up and down, really difficult. And if you had a tandem or a kid or whatever, forget about it. It was all part of this anti-bike, bikes being scapegoated, bikes as the moral panic of New York that then spread its tentacles outside of the city proper.
That is just incredible when you consider how many, you see scores and even sometimes hundreds of cyclists there now on a weekend and a weekend day.
Yeah, thousands. I mean, we will outnumber on the stretches of 9W that you have to be on to go further to Piermont or Bear Mountain or whatever. We will outnumber cars on a weekend, and it's fantastic. But it's great to hear you say that you feel that River Road and liberating River Road, it was important as a bicycle project, because you could take another view that says, oh, it's recreational cycling, who cares? It has nothing to do with the sort of the grit and the meaning of biking in New York City. But you're right, because being able to access that wild nature and those elemental hills like Hudson on one side, Palisades Cliffs on the other, that's as much cycling as anything else.
And let me tell you, I know and have clients who have that as part of their commuting route, who come in each day. They live in Bergen.
I know some of them.
And it's incredible. I think I'm lucky because I commute from Harlem down to Fidei here, but that's nothing compared to being able to do River Road in the morning, right?
So the idea, again, how I got into, so this guy, Carl Hultberg, who was a green organizer, but the real thing, River Road aside, and the George Washington Bridge aside, is that politically and culturally, we were the bad boys, we cyclists, especially the bike messengers, and we'll talk about them. But anything having to do with two wheels was considered detrimental to New York City at a time when cars were polluting like crazy in a way that they don't quite do anymore. Tailpipes are gone, and the whole geometry problem of cars in the city was already out of control, and the scapegoating of bikes, which are the perfect vehicle for everything, but especially in a dense urban space, I could not abide.